Welcome to the CFAA, Canadian Fire Alarm Association's Technicians Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Renault, Western Canadian Regional Sales Manager for Honeywell Notifier. I'm a National Director for the CFAA, and I'm the Chair of the CFAA's Marketing Committee. All opinions expressed by the host and guest are solely theirs and not necessarily the positions of their respective companies. All right, welcome. Today we are in Winnipeg, and I just got off the plane, and I am here with Bree, Emily, and Cathy, and we're going to talk today about women in fire alarm and all the different aspects that are really particular for women in this industry. We're going to start off with Bree, and we're just going to kind of just introduce yourself, a little bit of your background, and how you got into fire alarm.
Hi, I'm Bree. I got into fire alarm about 2.5 years ago. I was surfing the Red River campus college website, and I stumbled upon it, and I started researching it more and found a job opportunity and applied. I currently work with Freedom Fire and just got my license this October. And I just started my journey as a full technician.
Emily is going to now introduce herself and a little bit of your own history. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Emily. I am also currently a technician with Freedom Fire. I've been in fire alarm since May of 21. I kind of stumbled across it. My fiance met someone in fire alarm, talked about the job, going, "What is it?" Came home and said, "You need to look into this. It sounds like what you want." I'd been looking at different trades for a while. So I did, and a few months later, I started the CFAA courses through an online college on my own. I was in childcare at the time and kind of figured that probably wouldn't really have a lot of job opportunities coming from childcare into a trade. So I decided to get the schooling myself and then got a job in the field in May of 21, got my license in March of 22, and have been loving it ever since.
March of 22. Okay, so you're about a year and a little bit now, a year and a half. I guess.
Yeah, coming up.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, coming up 2 years fully licensed.
Okay. And Cathy.
Hi, I'm Cathy. I am the manager of Fire Tech Systems in Winnipeg. We're the largest ESD for Mercom. I've been in fire alarm for 11 years, and like the vast majority, I stumbled into it. I was working in electrical wholesale in outside sales and carried fire alarm in my package for the project when my contact had passed away. And I called the company Fire Tech to extend my condolences. That turned into a let's have a conversation, which turned into a job offer with full disclosure that I knew nothing about fire alarm, and was very fortunate to have a great mentor to guide me through it. So.
Now, well, we have a little bit of you kind of answered this question already, which my next question was going to be what inspired you to really, kind of get into fire alarm? Sounds like for you, it was a bit of for Cathy, that is, it was a bit of a stumble. It was a bit of a...
It was a stumble, but a coworker of mine many years ago had said, whenever opportunity knocks, you have to at least listen. Mm-hmm. And so the opportunity happened. And I was scared. I didn't know anything about fire alarm. I knew there's a red box on the wall. If you pull it, it's going to make a racket. You need to get out of the building, and that was it. And now I was presented with this opportunity to sell it. And as we who've been around for a little while know that you need to know how they work, what is needed, the codes, the standards, the local HJ requirements, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a really big undertaking and a challenge, but I was up for it.
A good personality only gets you so far, and then you got to have something to back that up. It'll get you in the door. So how about for you, Emily? What got you? You had a bunch of different possibilities in trades. Now, so you're saying your fiance?
Yeah. My fiance had just met someone who was in fire alarm, and they were, kind of just talking about what they did for job. And when they mentioned that they were a fire alarm technician, I believe his response was, "What?" Because, in all honesty, until I found out about it, I didn't know that fire alarm technician was a job.
Isn't that the issue in our industry? Yeah.
And I had been looking at various trades for a while, and one that kind of kept popping up was electrical. I liked the idea of what the job entailed, but getting into electrical is difficult. The programs for training are very in demand, and it's very hard to find a apprenticeship that will take you without any experience. And like I said, I was in childcare.
Yeah.
I've taken apart things and put them back together, but usually it went wrong. And so when I found out about fire alarm, I started kind of looking into it, and I found the CFAA website, and I kind of looked at the different videos. There was things about what a day in the life of the fire alarm tech would look like, and looking in all of the different courses and all that. And I went, yeah, I think this is what's going to be right for me. And I happened to see that there was a course starting. It was at the very end of December of 2020. I saw that there was a course starting in the beginning of January of 21 through a college in Ontario. It was all going to be via Zoom. And I went, oh, okay, I'll make a phone call. And they were able to get me in on 3 days' notice.
Oh, great.
And fast-tracked all the books to me. And I was in class 2 days a week all of a sudden going, oh, what did I get myself into? But the more I started learning about it, the more it just, for the first time, it felt right. It felt like what I wanted to do. And I've felt that way ever since. Fire alarm just makes sense. And I just love it.
Good. So, Bree, how about for you? Why fire alarm, of all things?
For me, I originally wanted to be a cop. But,
Bit of a left turn.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's a very dangerous job. And then I'm a very hands-on learner. I liked electronics. I kind of looked into carpentry, then went to electrical. Those were pretty hard on the body after a while, and I'm a type 1 diabetic, and fire alarm came up.
Yeah.
And it kind of was the best of both worlds for electrical trades, and then, it's life safety. You get to help people. Not really, like, you can put yourself at risk, but not like a cop can, right?
Right.
So it was kind of the best of both worlds. And yeah, when I came across it and started to research it more, it just kind of was a puzzle piece that fit for what I wanted. And, it's definitely challenging at times, but it's definitely, like, it's just, it fits like a glove. It fits my life. And just like Emily said, it's what you want to do, and you kind of know it when you start. It's intimidating, but if it fits, right? So that's kind of how I started.
So you said it's challenging at times. Why don't we go into that now? Let's talk specifically about being women in the fire alarm industry. So what are the challenges that you think you face specifically as a woman, and what are some of the advantages?
I think for challenges, obviously, like as I've spoken prior, I think being part of the LGBTQ community myself, when going in as a woman, it's extremely intimidating because I'm the 5th woman to be certified in Manitoba.
Wow.
And, so it's extremely male dominated.
Yeah.
And you don't have many people who are women. And so the men try to connect with you because they feel like they can't connect with you for some reason. So they try to connect reasons with your partner. But then when they find out that partner is also a female, they kind of just alienate you, not purposefully, but so you kind of
They
are
probably
left.
don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah,
They're probably uncomfortable.
You're kind of alienated with your coworkers and that, and it's a huge struggle because obviously it affects your mental health. It affects you wanting to pursue this career when it means a lot to you. It's a huge push, right? So that was probably my biggest struggle, was pushing through that mentally because.
So what did you do about it? How do you get through that?
Honestly, there was some really great people I worked with. My mentor, Luke, he honestly was very great. He had a old-fashioned values, I guess you could say, 1950s. But over the course of the year and a half, 2 years I worked with him, he went from having 1950s values to watching a LGBTQ series on Netflix and started talking to me about it because he went out of his way to find that common interest. And, he was a huge help. You try to create friendships, you do. But, if people just aren't comfortable or, let's say their values don't align, it's not something I push, but I was very grateful I was able to create that relationship with Luke. And I still learn from him. We don't work at the same company. I call him all the time, but that's probably the biggest challenge. But I think it was also a huge advantage because it got me to really focus on what mattered, which was life safety. I got to focus. I got to learn from someone who was a electrician for I think 20 years before he came into fire alarm. So he knew the electrical side. So I got to know a lot more than most people do. And for tricks and all of that, yeah, I just got to learn for that. So that was kind of a hindsight. I got to create some great friendships that are going to last a lifetime. And you know, he did sit me down one day. It was pretty rough, and he didn't want to have to say it, but he said, "You are a female in a male-dominated industry, and unfortunately, you are going to have to know more because you're going to have to prove yourself. It sucks it's that way, but it is. So I want you to know more than any of these guys do."
Right. Yeah. Sadly, I've had similar conversations with young female people that I've been working with, and sometimes I can assume a lot of things in a room that just I don't even think about, and I know that you have to be more conscious of those, and that's unfair, but that's also the reality.
The company that you're with will make a huge difference. Even on, say, construction sites, I don't find as much awkwardness. I think because of the companies that we work with and the contractors that we work with, they have female electricians, they have female carpenters on site, which I love to see.
Right.
Those other female trades workers also really enjoy, I think, seeing another contractor coming in as well.
It's nice to see, a female in carpentry, a female in electrical and fire alarm, when 3 of us are at a job site today that are all female, it's
so much fun showing up with 3 female technicians from the same company.
Yeah.
The look on people's faces sometimes is just great.
Who do I talk to?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's actually saying who do I talk to? That's something that I find is one challenge that I face is that I'll go to a site with one of our junior technicians. We have 2 junior technicians who are males, and if I go with one of them, the contact, unless I initiate conversation, will always turn to them first. One of them is 19 and baby-faced. I'm not 19 and not as baby-faced, but...
Yeah, that happened to me the other day, too, I noticed.
It's interesting because they just kind of automatically turn towards the male in the room, and both those juniors are always kind of just like, nope, you want to talk to her. Just kind of point back to us. And
and companies have a lot, I know like within Honeywell, the company I work for, we have a lot of unconscious bias training and going over these things that you just assume in your brain and trying to unlock that out of your brain. Yeah. It's years and years, right? And it's not necessarily those people's fault. It's their experience in their life.
Yeah, I've only actually come across one customer in the past who has been incredibly rude. It was, I think I was maybe 3 or 4 months into the job. I was standing at a panel. My trainer was sending in the alarms, and I was overwhelmed because he was sending in alarms. I had a suppression technician also sending in an alarm and a sprinkler fitter sending in tampers. And I just kind of went, I don't know what's going on, but please stop. This contact that we were working with was standing there, and he basically said to me, like, how am I in this job? You're such a stupid little girl. Oh. What are you doing here? And I just looked at him, and I'm basically just walked out and said, no, you can't speak to me like that. And I left the site, called my boss going, so I just did this. And he backed me 100%. And the next year I was actually scheduled there again. And I said, you know what? I'd just rather not deal with this customer. And they sent it somebody else, and that was fine. And this past year I was given the inspection. I went, you know what? I'm 2 years in. I can do this. So I went with one of our junior technicians who's a female as well. And we did that job faster than anyone else has.
There you go.
We did it fully. We did it properly. And we got it done in 1 day rather than a day and a half. And this same customer who had called me a stupid little girl asked for me and whichever junior to come back the next year. And I was kind of like, it was a very nice feeling to know, just to see how much I had grown in those 2 years.
Not just that, if you don't mind me taking something off of what you said. You said you called your boss and he backed you up. And that's something I think that we can both agree that, our boss is the same and he has our back.
I think part of the reason that one upset me so much was because I was so new to the trade, and I had come from a woman-dominated field of childcare. And suddenly being just completely just sideswept by this, just having this comment come out of the blue. And I think that really just kind of hit me, and I wasn't really expecting it. And I know now that those kind of comments, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I just kind of go, yeah, you know what? If that's what you feel, that's what you feel. I know I'm doing good. I know I can do my job. Just let me do my job.
Mm-hmm. And I think we all face that, and that's everyone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how high up you get, there will be somebody who's going to question your professionalism, they'll question your authority, and we all have to ride those out. And, the skills you guys are getting, still early in your career, and you're getting some skills that people don't learn for years and years and years, don't actually learn how to deal with it very well. I have another podcast that we'll be putting out pretty soon that I already recorded with a tech in Saskatchewan. He's now a fire consultant, and he was a tech for years and years. And we started the conversation about ground faults, but it got into actually just talking about how to be on site with people. And when things aren't going well, and boy, that's a big part of our job, isn't it? I've been saying for 20 years I've been fire alarm. Fire alarm panels are easy, people are difficult. Right?
Yeah. People make or break a job.
Yeah. And they don't come with a manual.
No, they don't.
They just don't.
There's part one of our conversation with some women in fire alarm. This was recorded while I was in Winnipeg, recently in early 2024. We'll have part two very soon. Stay tuned. Thank you.